find the term in x to power 6, y to power 4 in the expansion of x plus 3y squared to power 8. So they want here a specific term. And what we can do is we can use the binomial expansion formula. And the binomial expansion formula goes like this: a plus b to power n is equal to whatever comes first plus the general term, which is nr, a to power n minus r, b to power r, plus whatever comes next. So we need to identify what n is, what a is, what b is, and finally what r is. Now, from the question that we have here, we can see that a is actually x, b is 3y squared, and n is equals to 8. So what we need to do is to plug these guys into the general formula to be able to get the general term. So the general term, will be, we know what n is, which is 8. We don't know what r is, so we'll just write r. X to the power of n minus r, so that will be 8 minus r. And b is 3y squared to power r. So we need to try and find what r is. And from the question, the required power of y is 4. Okay, so by inspection, r should be equal to 2. What I mean here is that the required, and this is from the question, the required power of y is 4. Right here, right? So by inspection, we can see that r will be equal to 2. Now, if r is equals to 2, it means that our specific term, which will be the required term, will be the required term will be 8 choose 2 multiplied by x to the power of 8 minus 2. I'm just plugging 2 in place of r, and then we have 3y squared to power 2. And if we simplify this, 8 choose 2 can be found from our calculator. So if you go onto your calculator, just plug in 8 and then choose 2, which is 28. So 8 choose 2 is 28, which means we shall have 28 x to power 6, 9 y to power 4. Or we can just simplify this to 28 multiplied by 9, that will be 252 x to power 6, y to power 4. So the question was to find the term in x to power 6, y to power 4. So basically, this is the required term, all right? This is the required term here. And this is the third term because r is equals to 2. So basically, this is the third term. Since r is equals to 2. Okay? But this is the answer here. This is what they want. They want the term in x to power 6 and y to power 4. In this example, we are required to find the coefficient of x cubed, b to power 4, in the expansion of ax plus b to power 7. So the first step as always, is to write down the binomial expansion formula. So, and the binomial expansion formula goes like this: a plus b to power n will be whatever comes first plus the general term formula plus whatever comes next. Now, we need to identify what N, A, and B are, and finally what R is. So from the question, we can see that our A will be equal to AX, our B is just B, and N is 7. So that will help us to get the general term. Okay, so the general term will be we just need to plug those guys into the general term formula. So that will be 7r ax to the power of 7 minus r and b to power r. So what we need to do here is to try and find what r is, because if we can find r is, then we'll be able to find the required term. Now, from the question, the required power of b is 4, right here. So by inspection, r should be equal to 4. Yeah. So the required power of b from the question okay. So by inspection, r is equals to 4. Now, if r is equals to 4, our general term will become 7 4. Now, actually, this is not the general term anymore. This is a specific term, the term that we want. So 7 choose 4, ax to power 7 minus 4, and b to power 4. Now, 7 choose 4 can be found from your calculator. So if you go onto your calculator, 7 choose 4 is 35. So this will be equal to 35 ax to power 3 b to power 4, which simplifies to 35 a cubed b to power 4. So basically, the coefficient, the required coefficient here is, and by the way, this is x to power 3. So the coefficient is 35 a cubed. Okay, this is the required coefficient here. Okay, so the coefficient is 35 a cubed. That is what's required in the question. Remember, the question is asking find the coefficient of x cubed b to power 4, and that coefficient is 35 a cubed. In this example, we are required to find the coefficient of x to the power 5 in the expansion of 2x squared minus 1 over x to the power 7. So the first step here is to write down the binomial theorem. So the binomial theorem goes like this: a plus b to power n. It's also called the binomial expansion formula. So this will be equal to whatever comes first plus n choose r and r a to power n minus r, br, plus whatever comes next. Now, we need to identify what a, b, and n are. Now, from the question, a is equals to 2x squared, b is equals to negative 1 over x, and n is equal to 7. So, the general term can be written as, so the general term can be written as 7r 2x squared to power 7 minus r negative 1 over x to power r. So what we need to do is we need to find what r is. Now, to find what r is, we know from the question that we need the term in x to power 5. Okay, so we need the term in x to power 5, and so which means that the combined powers of x are 5. If we combine all these powers, there should be 5 for that specific term. So basically, the combined powers of x are 5. So we need to come up with a strategy on how we can do that. So we shall basically work out that by focusing on powers of x, because we know that the combined powers of x are 5. So looking at the general term, let's focus only on powers of x. What we shall have is x squared to the power of 7 minus r multiplied by 1 over x to power r. You can ignore the negative because we're just focusing on powers of x, will be equal to x to power 5. And then we just need to, using the laws of indices, we need to work out what r is. Okay, so let's simplify this equation. So we'll have x to power 14 minus 2r multiplied by x to power negative r is equals to x to power 5. If you equate the powers of x, so equate the powers of x, what you'll end up with is 14 minus 2r minus r is equals to 5. So basically 14 minus 3r is equals to 5, which means we shall end up with 3r being equal to 9 and r will be equal to 3. So now that r is equals to 3, we can plug 3 into the general term to be able to find the specific term in x to power 5. So the specific term in x to power 5 will be given by, so the term in x to power 5 is 7, 3, 2x squared to power 7 minus 3 multiplied by negative 1 over x to power 3. Okay, so basically what I'm doing here is I'm plugging 3 into the general term. So we need to simplify this. So 7 choose 3 can be found from the calculator. So 7 choose 3. So that will be equal to 35. So what we shall end up with here is 35 multiplied by 2x squared, 2 power 4, multiplied by negative 1 over x, 2 power 3. This can be simplified as 35 multiplied by 16x to power 8 multiplied by negative 1 over x cubed. Okay? Because negative 1 to power 3 is just negative 1. So if you simplify this, you'll end up with negative 560 x to power 5 using laws of indices. So the coefficient is negative 560.